Badass business owners, welcome to another episode of the Local Small Business Coach Podcast, where each episode we work on getting you to $100,000 in take-home pay. So if you're all ready to boost your profits, increase your sales, improve your processes, and develop stronger teams so you can stop living job to job, then let's dive in. Hey, badass local small business owners, welcome back to another episode of the Local Small Business Coach Podcast. I have had a fun week. It's been a good week. Hopefully it's been a good week for you as well. And what I want to do today is Thursday, so you know I love taking your questions. I'll either take the questions that you send me or I'll cover questions that I see as I'm out and about talking to people, conversations that I have with local small business owners, or conversations that I'm a part of that's group thought when it comes to questions. And I actually was sitting down going, okay, which questions do I want to kind of tackle today? And I actually saw two questions, or I was part of two questions rather, that I thought were very good questions and we should definitely tackle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the one first and then we'll kind of come back to a second one that's semi-related, but not kind of a thing. But hey, both of them stood out to me and I wanted to tackle both of them. The first one had to do with somebody that was having difficulty getting their customers to pay for their services and products. And, I jump in there, I give my 2 cents, and I was watching everybody else's 2 cents. And I was realizing how often I hear about this, and a frustration that a lot of you face is where you go out, you provide your service, you provide, it's rare that it happens so much on products as much as it does the service that you provide. And if products are related, it's usually because the products are part of that service. For example, most of the time in a brick and mortar, people aren't going to get out the door without paying for the product. But it might be something where you provide the product and then they pay you afterwards. Most cases when it comes to product, I hope that you get your money up front before you give anybody product. Now you might be stuck with product because there's a restocking fee. They change their mind. They have to return it, but that's a little different of a situation. What I'm talking about is where you've provided, you've delivered what it is that you said you would deliver to somebody, whether it was the product or the service or whatever the case may be, and they just have not paid for it. And, it was interesting to hear the different feedback that everybody was getting, because you do get a range of how we all tackle this. From, and the first one are the two extremes. The one extreme is that you do nothing about it. You just suck it up, buttercup, and move on. And then the other extreme is the fact that you go after them guns a-blazing and you're going to sue their butts and take them to court and blah, 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 blah. So you kind of have the two ranges there. And it was interesting because, of course, those all come out. And the reality is each situation is going to be a little bit different. It really depends on a lot of different factors. And through time, people start asking for some of those factors for this particular situation. Now, it doesn't matter their particular situation, but what it does mean is that for each of us, you all are going to have a different situation. You're going to have different price points, different things that you offer in different situations. So the bigger question is, one, how do you handle it when you're in that situation? But two, the bigger part is, what lessons did you learn and how can you tweak and change your business to ensure that you do get paid? And that was also something that kind of came up, because here's the thing. There are some things that you're going to do where you're going to provide the service first and get paid afterwards. And then there's times where you need to collect the money up front or collect half of the money up front. And if you have a type of business that you're letting everybody pay at the back half, but yet the common standard practice is that people pay for half up front or they pay in advance, then that's something you need to look at. Because if you're finding that a lot of people are slipping through the cracks or not paying for stuff, you might want to look at your process. You probably have a bad process in place. For a lot of you that do regular, you provide a service on a weekly or monthly or biweekly, whatever type basis, you should have your customers' debit card, Visa card, whatever the case may be, something on file, check thing, however you do, have it on file. So that way you can let them know that you're going to be providing this service on X date and you will be debiting their card or their account on that date as well. And just make sure that that's something that you're doing. you're living up to that if you provide that service every Thursday, then you make sure that by Thursday evening you're taking that money out. Or you can let them know that you're going to be there that day. You can send them a message saying, hey, don't forget that your service is today. We're going to be debiting you today. And in the morning, go ahead and debit everybody. And then just make sure that you provide that service. So that way it does close that gap a little bit. And you know that if you run the cards in the morning and they don't go through, then you don't provide that service. So that's another option for you to get around for those of you that do services on a regular basis. And that's how some of the folks have found to make that work for them. The other thing, when people aren't paying for their service, usually there's going to be a reason. Okay. So now, it could be that they're a scam artist. Yeah, absolutely. But that's going to be a rare thing where somebody's really a scammer. And the way that you're going to handle the scammer is going to be a little bit different than somebody who may have run into tough times, someone who may have forgotten. For example, there are people that don't pay because, one, we failed to get the invoice out on a timely basis, in which case that they probably had the money at the time of your services, but because you billed them a week or two later, then they spent the money. So in which case it's wrong for them to screw you over, but you probably would have been paid if you would have invoiced them on a timely manner. Also, sometimes the problem comes out is that dialogue, the communication didn't occur as to letting people know that, hey, when I provide this service or this benefit, guess what? I want to get paid within 24 hours, 48 hours, immediately, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's just assumed that they know they need to pay right away. But once again, they may have used other people that gave them some time in the past. So if you're going to do business for somebody and you're going to provide, especially if you're going to provide a quote or some type of estimate, make sure that you put on there that payment is due at time of services. So that way there's no question in their mind that they need to pay you at the time that you deliver those services. If you're going to offer them a week or two to be able to pay you, then you can work that arrangement out. But what's funny is how many times someone doesn't pay and yet the business owner continues to provide the service. Look, I get it that we want to continue to do business, but at the same time is sometimes somebody won't pay them and then they'll continue to offer the service again and again to the same people, thinking that they're going to pay at some point and make it all up. Well, listen, if they don't pay you the first time, then don't do the second time of the job. Now, is there an exception to that? Absolutely. If this has been a great customer all along and they just haven't paid you and they've always been good, yeah, that's fine because you know you're going to get paid. If there's a third party involved that you know that will make up for that so you don't get screwed over, then I understand that as well. Sometimes that'll happen in real estate, for example. I'll ask one of my guys to do something and my client is not paying for it. Well, I'm not going to screw over my vendor. I'm not going to screw over my business partner here that if my client doesn't pay, I'm going to make sure that they get taken care of one way or another. Unless those terms are worked out in advance that, hey, look, you know what, I'm not going to pay for someone to repaint their entire house, but you know what, if it's some minor repair or something that they did, I'm going to make sure that they get taken care of. And I've had to do that on occasion where my clients just did not step up to the plate, take care of something. So I wanted to make sure that I took care of that vendor. So if a third party is involved or if it's a client who normally is going to pay, that's a little bit different. But for most people, I don't want you to go do a service again for them the second time if they haven't paid you for the first time. It's shame on them. I've coached and counseled other people where I've told them that, hey, you know what, if it's something that you can take back, take it back, cut them off. Don't be worried about what they have to say because, at the end of the day, which will lead to my question later, which, by the way, but the main thing is don't keep providing a service to somebody if they're not going to respect you and get you paid. I guess one of the things you're probably wondering, okay, great, Tammy, that all sounds good, but how do I get paid? How do I make sure that I get paid? Well, I'm going to talk about a couple different things. One is you do have the extremes. You know what? You can sue them. You can take them to small claims court. You can get a lawyer involved. You can threaten them that you're going to get a lawyer involved. For some of you, you can put a lien against their house depending upon the amount of money that it is. Which means at some point you'll get paid. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get paid tomorrow. And there's a lot more legal work to it. But if you think about it, a lot of this legal stuff comes at a cost. You're going to be out of pocket for this. And I want you to weigh out the cost of doing business, because if you're talking, what I don't want you to do is put out hundreds of dollars to get back $100. That doesn't make any sense. But if you go do a job for somebody and it's a few $1,000s, it's probably going to be worth it for you to go file the paperwork in order for you to get paid. That's a totally different situation. To me, the biggest thing that you're going to get out of the situation is how not to get into that situation a second time. And how do you prevent that from happening? The other thing is a lot of times when people go silent, they go dark, For example, normally they're good communicators, but when all of a sudden you need to get paid, they stop communicating. My experience has been a lot of times, sometimes they're jerks. Don't get me wrong. There is a percentage of that, but in some cases they've come across some hard times. They don't want to share that with you. They don't want to, air their dirty laundry, if they will. But there's also a way that, you know what, you can be the bigger person. You can talk to them and say, hey, look, you know what, let's work on putting a payment plan together. Just remember, something's better than nothing. So if they owe you, say they owe you $200, $300, and they don't have it, well, maybe you can set them up to pay $30 increments. Will they pay the whole thing? Who knows? Hopefully they will. But if they don't, every $30 that you get is $30 you weren't going to get the other way. So sometimes you can work out some kind of payment plan, just get what you can out of them. Once again, look at your process. How could have done differently? What were your other options that you could have taken? Yeah. I guess the biggest thing that I want you to get out of it is don't go blasting them. Don't be putting bad things up on the internet about them. Don't go onto social media. Don't go onto Facebook saying, bad things about people. The one that used to crack me up. How many times do you remember when you were a kid walking into businesses and they had bad checks saying, don't take this person's check? And they're basically blasting them at the place that we're not going to take that. Now, did it need to be out that way? They were doing that out of spite because they were mad at the people for leaving them a bad check. That doesn't get you anywhere. Like I said, just be the bigger person, chalk it up that if you don't get paid, most of the time it's our fault that we didn't get paid because there's something that we could have done differently that would have caused us to get paid. And are there scam artists? Are there people that take advantage of your kindness? Absolutely. And just ask yourself, was there a sign? You might remember on the last episode, I talked about saying no, listening to your spidey sense and what your gut is telling you. Sometimes when we don't get paid, there were all the signs that we knew we should not have taken that job. We knew we should not have done it, or we knew we should have gotten the money up front. So ask yourself, if you didn't get paid, was there a sign there that you should have listened to so you can make sure that you listen in the future? So hopefully you guys kind of see that there's some options out there for you. Yes, you've got the extremes, but most cases, communication in the end is going to be your best tool, the best thing to help you get this thing resolved. And sometimes you just got to let it go and move on. To me, that's one of the best things you can do. After you've tried the different things, I'm not telling you not to go after your money. Go after your money, do what you got to do. But there comes a tipping point, a point in time where you got to let it go because it starts souring your attitude. It starts making you really mad and pissy and just untrusting of other people. And you don't want to go there. It's not worth it because now you're impacting your attitude. You're impacting your future customers and clients. You start second guessing their motives. And in the big scheme of life, if you're getting screwed all the time, one, it definitely is your process. And two, it's such a small percentage of your business that it's not worth you going through all that emotional turmoil and then turning that onto your employees. If you have them onto your other customers and your future business, it's not worth you getting a sour attitude. It's not about you. It's not worth you, just changing everything that you feel about the business. Because once it starts doing that, you might as well get out of the business. You're going to get screwed over. You're going to have returns. You're going to have things that cost you a little bit of money. It's a cost of doing business. The biggest thing is just know when to cut it off and when to change your processes. So that way you have better processes in place. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit on how to handle when somebody will not pay you. Now, the other question that I was a part of that I found kind of interesting was similar to this, where one business owner a local business owner was having work done by another local small business owner. And the one business owner went to get their business from this other business owner because it's a completely different business, went to them to do some stuff for them. And guess what? The other business owner has had crappy attitude, crappy service, still has not provided the service. Still, they actually turned in a vehicle for some work, not necessarily a car, but a vehicle. And at the end of the day, they weren't getting it back. I mean, it's been weeks. This has been going on and on and on. And it's something that should have been resolved within maybe a week or two at most because of parts or whatever the case may be. But here's the thing. This business owner was afraid of how far to push this other business owner because it is a smaller community. And what happens in a small community is that we don't want to be known as that guy or that girl or that lady who moans and groans and badmouths other business owners, in which case. Now, after looking at the entire run of questions and answers about this particular situation, it became really apparent that this particular business owner who was providing the bad service has a history of doing bad service and doing things wrong. Now, on one hand, our person, the good business owner, if you will, they don't need to be out there bad-mouthing this other person. They don't need to be doing stuff. But do they need to be able to get resolved their situation? Yes, they need to be able to reach out to the various places. They need to reach out if, for example, if there's a parent company or somebody that they're franchised through, they can reach out to them that way. They can reach out to the owner of the business, which they had tried. They tried communicating with people. At some point, they could also just go back and get their product, their vehicle back. There was a lot of different angles that they could do. I was amazed because there were some people posting that you should go after them on Facebook. No. Never stoop that low. Don't go blasting other business owners. Now, should you defend yourself if somebody starts bad-mouthing you? Absolutely. You know what? If this other business owner started saying bad things about the good one, then it's like, look, you know what? I tried to give you my business. Unfortunately, you couldn't get it done. There's a way to do it in a nice, positive way. But in the end, the odds are the reputation of this bad business owner, it already seemed like it was pretty bad out there. It wasn't something that they needed to worry about. There probably were warning signs not to go to this person, but I understand it was probably the only person in town that they could have went to based off of the type of business it was. But, if you're the good business owner in this case, you don't need to worry about your business. You are a customer. You are a client of that business owner, and you have the right to be able to be treated with dignity and fairness and get an honest, good product for what it is that you're paying for. So, the advice to that business owner was to move forward. Don't worry about what that other business owner was going to say, to just keep doing the right thing. And then if it became ugly, then handle how it was ugly. But in the end, they didn't need to worry about it as much as they were. And I get why they were doing that, especially because they, you can tell how much they cared. They cared about their community and they cared about their own particular business. And in the end, the right thing to do was to go get their vehicle from this place and just go down a different option and just kind of move on past the situation, which is what they ended up doing. So, which was good. Sometimes we just have to take the high road and keep moving on. And, as much as we want to go after them, and if this business owner needed to sue them because of the ticket price, then they needed to do that. So, I just kind of wanted to throw that in there. I don't even know. It semi-ties with the first question, but it was another one I found fascinating because it has to do with the first question about us getting paid, but here's somebody that also wants to be able to get their product or service. So I thought both of them were very important for me to talk about today. But the biggest thing is make sure that you're getting paid. The first question is probably the most important. I want you to get your money. And if you're not getting your money from people, always, always, always look back first to say, hey, how could I have done it differently? Use it as a learning experience. And then try communication. Communication is going to be the strongest way for you to do it. Work out any payment plans that you need to do it. And if you need to collect more money in advance, there's all different kinds of things to do. It just hurts. It just sucks that you're being taken advantage of. I get it. Just don't go to the extreme of where you start blasting on people and you start bad-mouthing them. And going after them and suing them and all that other stuff, unless it's a very high ticket item, I promise you're just going to end up losing money, losing sleep, attitude, and it's going to rub off on other people. Don't do it. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Don't forget that if you have a question you would like me to answer, I answer questions in the Facebook group, Badass Local Small Business Owners. I hope I'll answer questions in there. I'll answer them if you email me at Tammy@localsmallbusinesscoach.com, Tammy@localsmallbusinesscoach.com. And if you have a question or a topic that you would like to see here on the show, feel free to shoot that over to me as well through either one of those avenues. And with that, I'm going to send you out there and I want you to kick some butt and make some things happen. All right. Till next time we're together. Bye for now. Hey, badass local small business owner, before you go, if you would like to join our Facebook group, come on over. Go over to Facebook and in the search function, put in there badass local small business owner. It's going to pop up the Facebook page. We're just starting out, so be one of the founding members here in this Facebook group. It's going to be different than the other ones. We're not going to be blasting marketing materials and any of that junk. No, this is real life questions. We're going to help each other out. And yes, I'm going to be in that room as well. checking in on you guys and answering your questions. So come on, join our Facebook group, Badass Local Small Business Owners. Type it into the search function or look in the show notes and click there and it will take you there. Join us, won't you?